Welcome back. All right, so the last time I did a video of this nature was 2 moves ago, was 6 years ago. I discussed one jersey from each team which I felt was iconic. So I'm doing that here. Some of them will have changed, some of them will have not. But it's a much better setup, it's much better lighting, and so I figure, like, yeah, all right, let's discuss. Plus, there's now 32 teams in the league, and as a bonus, I've included teams that are no longer around, minus Cleveland and Colorado, the Rockies. But let's go ahead and discuss iconic jerseys. You guys can let me know your thoughts on the matter. We start off with the Montreal Canadiens, which is, yeah, this jersey has not changed in so very long. I've worn a lot of Montreal jerseys with the history videos. I've really found out that it's good to have as many Montreal jerseys as possible because you never know when you're going to need a different one. This is my Patrick Waugh. It's a CCM, but it is virtually identical to what they wear now, and this is what they wore in the 80s. So Montreal knows what works, and they don't change it. Speaking of which, the Chicago Blackhawks. It has to be any look they've worn over the last, 40 years since they've made any change of note with their logo or their look. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So, the Chicago Blackhawks, there really is no complaint that I have with this jersey, its design, or its look. I love the shoulder patches. I love that every logo is handmade, hand stitched. I think that just adds to the value you get with their jerseys. But it does mean that if you wash them regularly, the jerseys get kind of fuzzy when it comes down to the logo. For the New York Rangers, it has to be this, doesn't it? So I'm doing the original six first. I'm going in the order that teams join the NHL. There's a reason for that. The iconic looks that original six teams have, in part, is because this is what we're used to seeing. And this is sort of that comfort thing. We've all seen it this way since we were kids. And I don't care how old you are, the Rangers have looked very similar to this. Outside of a few years in the 70s where they wore the shield on the front of their jersey, which was not well received, so they got rid of that and went back to this, and it worked out pretty well for them. Boston. So for Boston, there are a few I could have picked. I went with this one, their current jersey, because I still think this is the one that best it exemplifies the various looks they've had in the past. The shoulder yoke, the way this is designed, is very 70s like. The logo itself is a nice updated version of what they were wearing previously. I like the shoulder patches. This is harkening back to their original look back in like the 1920s, 1930s. Honestly, I think it's a fantastic jersey. I've seen people wanting the 80s style ones back. I think that's just nostalgia. I think these are fantastic. For Toronto, I chickened out with Toronto too, and I went with their current look. Yep. For Toronto, what makes this work is very similarly, it harkens back to a look they had prior to 1960. I want to say 64, 65, somewhere in there, where they changed over to a logo that they'd simplify again after winning the Cup in 67. But I think this logo looks the best. It is very similar to old logos they've had in the past. And so the original six teams have all got looks that we cannot imagine them having different looks. I've talked about how I would like to see the Wings use the older Red Wing logo that they had, just on like a third or something as a throwback. But in general, this is the iconic. This is very similar to what was worn by Gordie Howe back 50 years ago. It is a fantastic jersey, and so the original six portion of this, all jerseys that the teams currently wear, the original six teams all seem to have it right, even if the dog doesn't agree. It's not our dog. Dallas. So don't worry. Dallas is, of course, the team that comes into the league via the Minnesota North Stars. This, to me, is the best look for Dallas. Still to this day. I like their current jerseys and look. I think it's perfectly fine. But this logo, this jersey is absolutely awesome. Even though, if you look, the star isn't perfectly centered. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. But they did come in as the Minnesota North Stars, and since that was the expansion, green. Green gets added to the color palette of the National Hockey League. So one thing that was the truth until Pittsburgh used the same colors as Boston, every team had to use different colors. So when the expansion came through, we had a lot of different color combinations that were kind of fun, including this. The St. Louis Blues. Now, this is kind of an exception. This has technically been a third jersey of theirs, but it is a recreation of the jerseys they wore in the 60s. So I'm including this here. I don't have any thirds in this, and there's no specialty jerseys either, because to me, an iconic look has to be something you wear all the time. Has to be home or away. And I reserved that it could be a home or away that I'm using for a team. For St. Louis, I'm going with this one. Although I will say their current jersey is fantastic. Pittsburgh, it's a current jersey. What else could I use? They've won 5 Stanley Cups, and I believe it's 4 of the 5. This has been their look when they've won it. So they changed the Robo Penguin after they won it in '92, and they didn't win it again until they went back to this Penguin. So this, I believe, is the best jersey they've had. Absolutely the most iconic, the one we associate with Mario, with Yager, with Crosby, with Malkin, etc., etc. Philadelphia has not gone through many changes, but I'm not using their current jersey because this is the Bobby Clarke that I have in my collection, and yeah, this is the look, right? The Philadelphia Flyers have never made a change to their logo on a home and away jersey. They've done different looks for like stadium jerseys and third jerseys, but this has stayed remarkably consistent, and that's for good reason. Now, one mistake in the expansion was the seals, because they just didn't do a very good job of making sure that each market was going to be able to support a team. The seals didn't last, but this look has. So of all the jerseys they've had, this to me would be the one that I feel like is the most iconic. The jerseys they had when they entered the NHL were kind of horrific. So there's that. And then for the Kings. So with the Kings, I'm going with their original jersey. This may not be something that people agree with. I went back and forth on this or the look they've just changed back to. So they went from the Lakers colors to the Raiders colors. And people love that because Raiders gear was really popular at the time. But for me, this is the iconic look for the Kings. It was between this and the yellow version of it. I love the crown. I love everything about this jersey. I don't think it ever comes back as their home and away, but it should. This color should be back in LA's palette. Oh, I'm gonna keep banging that drum. It's gonna happen. So then we get into the cursed expansion, and I've picked this one for Vancouver from the cursed expansion because it's got the V's on the shoulders, it's got the skate jersey, plus notice the colors orange and gold, not red and yellow. So the red and yellow that they're wearing in '94, that wasn't originally their colors. It was orange and gold, and at the time it happened, yeah, the Canucks were just like, I don't know what happened there. We didn't intend to change colors, but they did. They did because they never changed them back. And I prefer this. I know people will point out the '94 jerseys. I agree, those are very nice. But for me, this is the iconic look. And it combines the flying V, because the V's are on the shoulders, with the skate. Buffalo. I went with their current jersey. The difference between this jersey and the one they had in the '80s, which would have been the runner-up, I think this one's better. I do. I think this one's better. There will be those who want the black one with the goat head, as it was called, but the head of the buffalo. I don't know. Like, to me, I still think this is the one. This is from Gilbert Perreault's era. It's obviously a modernized version of, but I love this jersey. So this, to me, would be the iconic look for the Buffalo Sabres. Which brings us to the Flames. So Atlanta or Calgary? Well, I picked Calgary. The Calgary look from the '80s was fantastic. There's a good reason they went back to it. And it's funny because I remember back in 2018 making videos on which throwbacks they should do next and which would be a nice throwback to see. And I remember a comment on the channel at the time saying, why don't we look to the future? Why do you keep talking about throwbacks? And I said, because that's nostalgia's, powerful kind of thing. And since then, we've seen tons of throwbacks and teams going back to their old look. Calgary never should have changed from this. Ever. The podium, the pedestal jerseys that they went to after these, couldn't hold a candle to them, and it was weird that they didn't just go back to this. They went through a few different designs and then realized what's old is new again, and all is right in the world. Now, when Atlanta came in the first time, they came in with the Islanders, and the Islanders are another team that have gone back to their old look, which I think is fantastic. And again, the argument can be made of, well, why don't they get new looks? Because fans generally reject new logos. Generally, fans have this connection they feel with logo. So while I'm not a huge fan of the Islanders logo, and I've said that before, I do feel kind of like it's pretty simple on some level, and yet trying to redraw that just hurts your hand. But at any rate, yeah, the Islanders. This is their look. This is their look. I don't think that changes. It is one interesting thing too, because I think when I'm looking at some of these jerseys that are current, these are teams that I don't think ever will change their looks again. Not the primary, maybe the secondary, sure. New Jersey, I went with this one. Now this one's got the stripes. This is a Reebok one. This one has the stripes more along the lines of where I'd like to see them, and I've talked about that before. This to me is the iconic. This is a David Clarkson for anybody curious, but this is the New Jersey look that I think is their best look. I would put this ahead of the jerseys they wear now. For Washington, I am not a huge fan of word marks, so I went with this, even though there's a word mark on it, because everything Capitals has a word mark on it, generally. And it has to be one that was worn as a home or away, so that wiped out a few of the options I was considering. But I went with this one. Now, the one with the Capitol building, the black one, I love that one too. But that Screaming Eagle, it's a very, very nice look. This is the one that Ovechkin's talked about wanting them to use, and I could see the Capitals at some point rebranding to either something similar to this, or maybe you take that eagle they've got on the shoulder and put it on the front, and make that your jersey. All right, so then we get into the WHA expansion, right? And for the Oilers, they've gone back to their 80s look as well. The Oilers, much like the Flames, decided, well, we're going to change things, even though it was a bad idea. And they went through a couple of different changes. Eventually decided orange was a good idea. Yeah, the orange is the new black idea, which, of course, originated with the show. It really wasn't with jerseys, because I saw that when jerseys changed to orange. If orange is the new black, it really isn't. Orange is just reflective vests for road workers. But yeah, this Oilers look is really nice. I do think it's great, and you can see the detail there in the oil drop. Nice addition on the prime greens. So Hartford. One of the reasons we'd love to see Hartford come back is their jerseys. This one has pucky on the shoulder. The first year they had pucky on the shoulder at the NHL level, and then they got rid of it. So you get a bug off. I don't know where the heck that came from. See, you open the door and you end up with bugs in your house. What's up with that? But anyways, the Whalers, I'm going with this one here. It's going to land on my hat, isn't it? But the Whalers, this to me is the look. Even though I prefer the blue jerseys they wore in the early 90s to these ones, this is the look. So when I do a jersey ranking, the green ones usually end up higher, though I really like the blue ones. I do. I know I don't make any sense. Quebec, it has to be, right? So they did a throwback to like their first year look in the National Hockey League, but this is the one. If we ever get the Nordiques back, this is what they're going to wear. No doubt in my mind at all. The first Winnipeg Jets. So Winnipeg fans, you're in luck. You get two jerseys in this video. The original Winnipeg Jets, this is the look. And this is part of the reason why with the Rangers, I couldn't very well use the Rangers one from the 70s, because it's exactly the same as this, just with the Rangers shield on the front instead of a Jets logo. They are virtually identical. I think the only difference is this red stripe is a little bit wider on the Jets jersey. That's it. So, but it's an iconic look for the Jets. Jets fans love this. Ranger fans hated it with the shield on the front. So bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen an instance where two teams have worn the exact same look in the same league, and fan bases have reacted so differently to it. San Jose. It's got to be their first year look, which thankfully they've done a throwback to an Adidas, which I have here, but I also have the CCM version of their original jersey. And yeah, that is the look. I prefer their logo now. I think the jersey they have now is really, really nice. But San Jose got it right the first time. These jerseys were everywhere when San Jose joined the National Hockey League. And I think part of it was teal. So you have a nice shark logo and teal. People wanted something that was a different color. So Ottawa went with black. And again, this is another team that changed away from that look. They went back to it. This is not my favorite of Sen's jerseys, but is it the most iconic? Yes. This is the one that I believe Snoop Dogg wore this in a video, right? That was kind of the mark, was if Snoop wears it. Well, there you go. But they have changed from what the original was. These lines in gold were originally in red. Other than that, it's the exact same logo, basically. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I'm going with the first look they've had. And it's funny because I remember when this logo was revealed by Phil Esposito and thinking, that's it? I was surprised. I thought I had kind of expected something a little more fun with the name Lightning. But it turns out that for me anyways, and you guys can let me know your thoughts, I think this is the best look they've had. And again, if Tampa Bay could only wear one version of their jersey they've worn over all the years, I think this would be the best one for them to pick. Then we get into the other Florida team that came in, the Florida Panthers, and it has to be their first jersey. I jumped at the chance to buy this jersey when it first came out, back all those years ago in 1993. This isn't actually the one I bought back in 1993. I did have to double check. I don't remember what happened to that one from 93. I think it was pretty beat up, because I wore it a lot. I liked the Florida look right away. I did, though, think when they initially unveiled these jerseys, I thought these were burnt orange, not red. And I thought, as like burnt orange, where it's almost red but not quite, I thought, man, that'll be fantastic. So when I saw it in person and saw it was red, I was like, well, okay. And I bought it, but I was kind of disappointed it wasn't burnt orange. For the Ducks, the Mighty Ducks, it has to be the first jersey they wore. They will do a throwback to this. Don't worry about it. It'll happen. The jersey that they're wearing now for Orange County makes total sense. But eventually we'll see this one. I would think as soon as next season we'll see this look for them. The Mighty Ducks, while I was not a fan of the movie at all, I was not a fan. I'm too old to have been a fan of Mighty Ducks. And when the team came into the NHL, I remember thinking, man, this is a joke. Disney and the NHL partnering up. I was 100% wrong. I was 100% wrong. It was a really good move. And these jerseys have aged quite well. So then we get to Nashville. And with Nashville, you thought you were getting a blue jersey, didn't you? You thought I was going to pick one of the blue ones, didn't you? Nope. I love this look. Of the gold jerseys they've had, I love this look. They were one of the few that kept the piping from Reebok all the way through. A lot of the teams dropped this. There's a little bit of blue here, for like the fangs of the predator kind of thing, right? And you have the blue band on the back. It's not just gold. What drives me crazy with their current jersey is it's a lot of the gold. And I feel like just a little bit of blue to break it up. Perfect. All right. And then after that, well, Atlanta comes back. So with Atlanta, I'm not picking the same one that I did for the other 32 team video I did just today. So I'm doing the second one today as well. It'll post while I'm away. So hi, everybody. But it is currently August the 6th. But this Atlanta one's really nice. This is the Reebok version. They dropped the stripes on the bottom because for some reason Reebok was allergic to them. Put stripes down the side, which is odd. But I like the blue. I've always liked the Thrasher logo. It grew on me. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. I've seen people ask, what's a Thrasher? It's a bird. That's why there's a bird on the front and a bird on this. I don't understand. You're like, I don't even understand what a Thrasher is. Well, look at the logo. What, like, if it was a bear, why would you have a bird on the front? If it was like another word for garbage, why would you put a bird on the front? It's just, I don't even know what a Thrasher is. Well, look at the logo. That doesn't work with Canadiens because it's CH, which my grandfather said stood for center heist, which I thought was a phrase that my grandfather invented, and then I saw it in the comment section on the channel. All right, the current Winnipeg Jets have only had one home and away set, so I will give them this. They have stuck with the home and away set for a long time, and when you do that, it becomes iconic. It becomes that look that people go, okay, that's the Winnipeg Jets. Now, there are those who'd like to see them use the old logo as their main logo and go back to the old look. I'd be fine with it if they did, but honestly, it's another one that's grown on me over the years, and I think it's nice. I do wish that the home and away had the exact same kind of striping, by which I mean I like it better on the home than on the away, which is why I picked the home version of the jersey. Columbus has only had basically two different home and aways, so I'm going with the one they currently use. Man, I wish I could have used the cannon here, but they've never used that as a home and away jersey, though it is on the shoulder. So there's that, and I've got the cannon right here on the front for the 20th anniversary. It was fun putting all those, fun getting the patches that my wife put on the jerseys. I can't say it was fun putting them on because I don't know if it was or not, and I don't ask her because, it probably wasn't that much fun. All right, Minnesota. I went with the white one, their current white jersey. I think this is really nice. I think it's very simple. There's no added stripes to it. It is just very basic. It is green. It is white. There's accents of red. I love that logo on the shoulder. I actually much prefer this to their home jersey, their home jersey, the green version. I think if they basically just mirrored this with the green version, I think you got a better jersey there. But that's me. Vegas. Well, Vegas has had a couple of different looks. So the gold one though, and this is a Marc-Andre Fleury. I got it for like $40 because it's Fleury. Nothing is more Vegas than gold. I'm not sure why they didn't find some sort of way not to make it itchy. So it's very scratchy. If you get one of these jerseys, just beware. It's very scratchy. I will never have one of these for meetups because my chest, it'll feel like there's a cheese grater bouncing on my chest as I'm trying to run after the ball. And it's embarrassing enough to run at my age as it is. So just, having my chest like bleeding after wearing this for a while doesn't appeal to me at all. But it is an iconic, very, very Vegas-y look to it. I remember the first time my wife and I went to Vegas, we talked about how sparkly the city was, basically all up and down the strip, and we remarked how kind of relatively boring their jerseys looked, comparatively speaking. So for Seattle, they've only had a home and away, only one, but I prefer the white over their home version. I think this one's really, really nice. I love the colors. I like the striping. I like the logo, and I know there's people that don't. There's the tentacle in here, the eye here. The tentacle also kind of forms a mouth. It just works. It's nice. It's subtle. When you got the name Kraken, you could go with something really cartoony. The one thing is, this logo on the shoulder is fantastic. Eventually, that's got to be on the front of a jersey, and I'm hoping I'm around to see it because I think if they ever made that their home and away, their main logo, I think you'd probably find more people that would like it, where you have the Space Needle and the anchor combined to form the logo. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Which jersey do you feel like is the most iconic of the team you root for? You guys can let me know. It could be completely different than the ones I've got posted here. Just let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.